I would like to thank everyone for being here today, and the organizers, as well as Dipankar. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you to IIC. IIC has always been very special for us. My father had countless meetings here. He would give lectures here. He would argue ideas here. And of course, he would have lunch, coffee, tea with many of his friends here. And for us as a family, it's also special because my sister Radha and I both had our wedding receptions in the lawns here. So it feels almost right that we are here at IIC to celebrate my father. It has been a little over 2 months since he passed away. And we have been really so happy and overwhelmed with the outpouring of love and remembrances that have come in. I only wish I could have told him some of this, read some of this to him, or told him about the memorials. I know how happy he would have been to know how many lives he had reached and touched, both as a teacher and, of course, as an academic. As a teacher, many of you probably know he was really very particular about his lecture notes. Like Nandini said, I too was looking through some of his emails, and I came across this one from June 2012, where he had just come back from a walk and he was writing to me, "I've just come back from my morning walk, rehearsing my lecture on economy and society. As you might guess, he agonized over all these lectures, the order in which things should come, the structure, the content, and he really felt that if you were expecting somebody to listen to you, to be there, then you owed them that clarity and that care." But you know, as a child, I admired him for entirely different reasons. For one, he was not scared of ghosts. And as a little girl, this was really important to me. I can see Professor Mohanty there, so he will know that we all lived in the university where the electricity went away frequently in the evenings. And so it would get very dark, and I would go and sit next to him entirely for strategic reasons, because I felt that I was safe there in the face should any ghost appear. And he told me that, you know, Tara, ghosts walk with their feet backwards. And then he would hold my hand, and he was so calm after that, and I was so impressed by that. The other thing that impressed me about my father was that he was a really good artist. He could draw so very well. Well before he had decided to study physics and then anthropology, he actually wanted to be an artist, and he had diligently been taking art lessons and classes. My mother told me that after they got married, he would actually do her kajal for her, and it was the best way of doing it. And then he would draw for my sister when she was a child. Now, he did not draw in the same way for me. And actually, some of you, if you went to his office at the Delhi school, you might have seen all his sketches under his table, under the glass on his table. But while he did not draw as much for me, he taught me how to draw a lot. He loved oils, but of course, working with oils is very difficult with a child. So we stuck to acrylics and sketching. And he taught me how to draw trees. And I drew these trees very differently from what he was telling me to do. But he seemed fine with that. He didn't expect me to copy it, and he was happy with that. There are so many other things I remember about him. He was excellent at ironing clothes without an iron. I don't know how he did it, but Radha and I, our school uniforms, he would fold them so well, and then the next morning it looked like they were ironed. He would tie our laces so tightly they would not open. He could tell the best stories. He could dress a wound really well. I had once got a deep burn, and for 3 weeks he tended to that. He carried me around the house because it was on my leg. And I never felt any pain when he would dress it multiple times in the day. Then he could sing beautifully. And he would sing in English, Bengali, and French. So the list is actually quite endless in terms of all the things that he could do. But as an admiring daughter, I once discovered there was one thing he could not do. So when my mother was away, I went to ask him to tie my hair for school. It was a mess. It was not a success. It was hard to get off the rubber band, and I lost some hair in the process. But that apart, I think there were many things he did so well. As a teacher, he was fantastic. I feel it couldn't have been better than to have him right there in the house. He taught me everything. We studied together almost every day, whether it was grade 4 social studies or physics in 9th grade. But what I will remember is all the books we read together. So we read Camus, we read Sartre together. We listened to music, Mozart and Beethoven together. We looked at art together. We read poetry together, Coleridge and Eliot. We always were on different sides. He and I did not agree on who was the best. So we also argued endlessly on which one was better. For me, it was Camus. For him, it was Sartre. For me, it was Beethoven. For him, it was Mozart. But I learned so much through all of these with him. The other thing my father had was a really great sense of humor. So again, we read Bernard Shaw and Oscar Wilde together. I liked Oscar Wilde more. He liked Bernard Shaw. And then he would keep telling me about this joke. There was this one time when Oscar Wilde and Bernard Shaw, they were coming from opposite sides of a bridge, and their paths intersected. And Oscar Wilde very pompously said, "Well, I don't let fools pass." And Bernard Shaw looked at him and said, "Well, I do." And he stepped aside. So as I come to the end of this, I realize that what I miss most about my father is not just, his brilliance, his wisdom, and his humor. It was just his presence, his being there at home, and giving the sense that, the world just felt a little bit saner, safer, calmer because he was there. And I know he had that impact on people. He had that effect on people where, confusing ideas and things became intelligible. Big questions didn't need immediate answers. If he were here today, I suspect he would have felt a little bit embarrassed by all the attention. He would probably want to remind us that there are always better lectures to give, there's always more to read and things like that. And for purely practical purposes, he'd be looking at his watch in terms of how much time was left. But I think most of all, he would be so pleased and so happy to see all of you here and to feel all of your love. Thank you so much.